echo was, but it's not going to matter. Kirk on the flank finds it down onto one. Riot's already down, so it's a technical 1 versus 2. And Bry just swung to his death. Twizzler on the top floor will look to retrieve their teammates, but a Kirk can find the timing and clutch it out. An ace for Kirk.
But Spider still gets a kill, and then Extra not ready for in the corner, but oh my goodness, he gets the kill anyways!
He gets the kill, Teddy left alive. He doesn't yet again for Mirage!
He's low on health, especially when the Vulcan canisters are in play, but now Ambi low as well, but he takes the kill anyways! He's still left, but with 15 seconds and not too much intel as to where they are, it's not looking great for him, but he's just got the isolated frag on an aim key, and the last one's left in Freezer. This could be a very easy pick to find if he just looks in the right corners with the shotgun as well. He'll be lethal in the close range! A 1-on-2 for the Gridlock! Hello everybody and welcome to the XGS Spring Burst Playoffs. My name is Happy. Joining me tonight is Irish, his very first time on for the event, and we are very excited to be here for the very first best of 3 of the whole tournament. Actually, no, never mind. We did have some in groups, but the first best of 3 of the playoffs starts right now, right here, and we've got a whole weekend filled with playoff action for you guys, as 4 teams that were already invited to this playoff stage take on 4 teams that made it out of the double GSL groups that preceded it, until we eventually are left with our winner.
And yeah, it is incredibly exciting to see teams like Exosiris, Valkyrie, and SBL and Coastal play their way and battle their way out of really tough matchups to be able to get into this position. But the even more exciting part is to be able to see them go up against teams like what we have later on tonight. Aerial Arise versus Valkyrie is going to be our first matchup, going to be the matchup that we are going to be casting right now. And Aerial Arise, that's a team that we know quite well, and a team that has been around this T2, T3 space for a really long time. But it's a bit of a new roster coming out as players have splintered, players have kind of gone their own separate ways. We've seen Poison, most notably out of Aerial Arise, start to play with different rosters like SBL and other teams with completely different players. So this team retaining Bay and Inrio from Element 2, but bringing on Packer, Giddy, and Bino to round out the team for this event.
Yeah, and Packer and Giddy actually announcing today on Twitter that they'll be teaming with Wooz and Kobe, and then one other, into the foreseeable future. This Aerial Arise team, of course, kind of a symptom of a lot of chaos in the T3, T2, and also, I guess, moving up to T1 scene as well, though that yet to really be announced officially. People have made their guesses as to who's going
I've
where.
seen it on Reddit.
Yeah, we've all seen what people think is going to happen, but it's no secret that a lot of players are being swapped around to a lot of different places, and this is just kind of like, oh well, I guess we have this team together, and we've been invited to the playoffs already, so we're going to try and stick it out with this very talented roster that we do have, albeit a very, again, different roster, like you had said, than what we've been seeing Aerial play with for quite some time, and not even keeping Poison around, as, of course, Poison left to go join SBL, a team that's had a lot of their own success, and they'll be playing tomorrow. They won't be playing later tonight, but he's kind of been the one player who's stuck with this team through everything, so that's a very interesting thing to see. An Aerial Arise without Mr. P. However, you want to talk about iconic leaders of T3 and T2 teams, you mentioned Poison. JJ is in that conversation. He's been one of the more notable players and one of the more notable personalities in the T2, T3 scene, and now they have gotten together a roster on this Valkyrie team that looks pretty formidable, all things considered, and they had a pretty solid run through the group stages as well.
Yeah, 57% on attack is no slouch, as we've seen at the previous SI, the most recent Tier 1 event and most recent T1 play just in general. The stats for that event, I forget who it was posting, I think it was Pengu or something was posting about the fact that the attacker win rate for that event was actually lower than the height of the utility meta. So it's really, really, really tough for teams to attack even maps like Chalet. So Valkyrie having that above 50% win rate for attack is incredibly notable, as well as obviously you talking about them having JJ. They have Hitman, who has been around numerous teams in this T1 space, T3 space, and has made a name for himself as a lurker, as someone who's able to hit incredible clips, incredible 3Ks of being able to play off of his teammate and have a ton of impact.
Yeah, and having that impact is something that can sometimes be hit or miss for Hitman. Hopefully he'll be hitting tonight because he'll need to go up against this Aerial Arise squad, regardless of what map we may end up on. But it's actually going to be Clubhouse, picked by Valkyrie, into Border, picked by Aerial Arise, and then, should it be necessary, Valkyrie will be starting on the defensive side of Cafe on that third map of the series. So, already some somewhat newer territories compared to what we've been seeing this tournament, although Clubhouse, again, this tournament has had a lot of Oregon, Clubhouse, and Chalet. Like, even, I know it's a T3 tournament, but it's even kind of uncanny. I was expecting a little more in terms of the diversity of the map pools. I think we've seen Labs a couple times, but other than that, it's really just been as simple as, you know, your cookie cutter maps. So I like that we're getting into something like Border, which I don't know has been played through this whole tournament. If it has, it was really only one time. And then also getting into Cafe later, another map that hasn't seen much play in this kind of a tournament, and as a result, hasn't seen much play through all of T3, because there hasn't been that much going on in the T3 space that lately. There have been some competitions here and there, maybe not as organized, maybe not always on broadcast, things like that, so we haven't been able to see that much of it. So very excited, looking towards maps 2 and 3, should they be necessary, but we gotta get through Clubhouse first, which, it's good to get to know this Aerial team, because we kind of know what's going on in the club, so we can kind of get a feeler for how this Aerial squad is going to play today.
Yeah, it's interesting that we see, like you were talking about, kind of none of the less picked, like not a Nighthaven Labs coming out of this matchup, not anything too crazy or wacky. It's just pretty standard maps. Even Border, something that's considered a little bit off the beaten path, but one of the maps that hasn't been reworked in absolute years. It's a staple as far as has not been changed in a really long time. So even though it isn't that Clubhouse, Cafe, super defensive sided, super default, like Oregon type map, I know that even a pickup stack, even something like Aerial Arise being kind of put together at the very last minute, will know like the back of their hand.
Well, as we hop into map number 1, it's set to be a pretty fun little evening of some quality T3. We're back, and into the ban phase we go again for Clubhouse. This is the pick of Valkyrie, which is a little confusing, you think about it, because, you know, Valkyrie picking into a map like Club against somebody like Aerial Arise, this is a team that they're probably not scrimming to. Well, we know they're not scrimming together. They're more of just a pug stack. You know, these guys have intentions to play on other kinds of squads. So to bring them to a map that they're going to know really well, you'd kind of think that maybe that's a bit of a questionable decision. Maybe Valkyrie shouldn't be doing that. But then again, it's a map that Valkyrie good on. It's a map that Valkyrie good on. You need to take those kind of opportunities where you're given them. So I suppose we'll just have to wait and see. But the big thing for me is this first half. You said it coming through the pre-show, 57% win rate on attacks. If you're only able to get like one attack, 2 might be all right, but then you switch over to defense, you'll really have to get it together. But depending on how well this attacking half goes or how poorly it goes, we could be getting a very good indicator of how the rest of the series is going to go as well.
One of the things that I find really interesting about Team Valkyrie, and specifically onto a map like this, is the fact that they almost never run Thermite. It's only when they absolutely have to, when they feel like they need to open up some sort of a main wall. And we're not really going to see it on this basement because, you know, this isn't one of those sites where you need to bring a Thermite. But once it gets up into that CCTV, like the defensive band that Valkyrie picked out to, that Azami playing Rafters and being able to take that position, even when they're attacking onto CC, they very rarely actually end up picking onto that Thermite.
10 seconds to insertion.
Will be quite interesting, and here you see it again. They're not quite picking that Therm. However, going to the basement makes a little bit more sense. But this very much an unconventional basement attack, or basement defense rather, to say the least. An extension all the way up to the second floor, fully jammered up, looks somewhat reminiscent of the SSG roam of days of old. Back at when, you know, back at that old space station roster with the Mute Mozzie combination off the objective. No reinforcements towards dirt though, and that's going to make a big difference because that means Hitman can just open that up really quickly, and all of a sudden 30 seconds in you've already established some kind of control. But now the problems are going to start to come about for Valkyrie as they try to contest with this very aggressive roam, and they're going head on. They're not going to let it exist up here.
And they're already almost gonna have a kill on the Inrio. So much damage. No, with a shot through the wall, taking down Inrio. That's the first kill of the map. And another kill coming out of Deity. Oh, hold on. 57% win rate means so much when it comes to a double kill right off of the bat. Team Valkyrie setting themselves up in a 5 versus 3 and only 50 seconds. Now just barely a minute off the board. Bay needs to find a pick back, but it's not gonna happen. Rival with a double. And all of a sudden, Team Valkyrie find themselves in a 5v2 after just barely finding a beachhead into this map.
Yeah, Ariel clearly not shying away from these aggressive plays. You had Inrio try and make a play towards dirt. You had Bay walking up that bedroom staircase, that bedroom hallway, just trying to find some kind of play in that corridor. But it really wasn't meant to be, I guess. And as a result, now you got a 3-man advantage in favor of Team Valkyrie with plenty of time for them to work with. Giddy now, of course, going to try and continue to get aggressive because they've lost so much of an advantage that they never really had, that they feel the need to try and get aggressive elsewhere to make up for that. Instead, everything they try will be snuffed out immediately, and that is a flawless round for Bry and company as the IQ will close round number 1 in favor of Valkyrie.
This is one thing that I was a little bit worried about coming into this map for Aerial Arise, is Inrio specifically is that kind of player that is going to get aggressive, is going to try to take a gunfight very early. And Team Valkyrie, there's a lot of different types of aggression, you know, that's kind of a catch-all phrase that we talk about for so many teams. But for Valkyrie, the specific win condition for almost every single one of their attacks, for almost every single one of those defenses, is gifting their opponents on a silver platter a gunfight. So when you have a player on the other side like Inrio who is going to swing into you, that is potentially a danger that I could see Aerial Arise falling into, as they already have throughout this first round.
Ought to go back to that same exact site, although a radically different setup. They've got Inrio back on smoke, but generally a lot more setup around anchors. You bring a Mira, which obviously means you're bringing a 1-speed, and it also means you're bringing Mira windows that are being used around the objective, as we haven't seen Bino step foot anywhere but the basement, so you can pretty obviously tell that those will be allocated towards the hold of the site itself. Same goes for Bay, most likely. It's really just Giddy or Packer who have the potential to activate, but you're bringing those bandit shock wires probably with some intention to actively use them somewhere. So you start to realize that this is a total switch up in terms of the defensive style and strategy here from Aerial Arise. They're basically playing exclusively around the bomb site itself. Bay gonna get a little bit aggressive towards central stairs towards the start of the round, but Valkyrie are gonna be hopefully ready to take advantage of this, because I think what Aerial are trying to do is, you know, you get really aggressive round 1, then you tone it back later, and then Valkyrie are kind of hesitant to push so quickly because they're worried about a roam. But that's not happening at all. 45 seconds in, and Rival's already establishing some solid control towards Strip.
Yeah, like you were saying, I like the turtle a little bit more, but you still do have to make Team Valkyrie work for the space that they take. Like you were saying, it's a minute in, and they've already gotten stock patch open. They already have all of the middle floor completely cleared out. So Hitman is going to be able to do the exact same thing they did last time. Set up these long sight lines, set up that vertical, and they're already bringing drones down the blue side, bringing drones down main, and Deity has worked his way up a little bit into oil. He's not quite going to swing down for a gunfight, but he really doesn't have to. He has a minute and 40 seconds to just get open hatches, work the utility, and set up the perfect gunfight.
With all the util that Aerial Arise have in their own advantage, though, the question for me is how are Valkyrie going to break into the advantage? Because they have some smoke bolts and fire bolts on the Capitale, that's one thing, but nobody's bringing any flashes, which we've seen attacks rely pretty heavily on, at least as of late. People are bringing more and more flashbangs. Those are kind of not brought in this case in favor of some hard breach charges, some breaching charges for more vertical from upstairs. It's been working pretty well so far, though. A knock already on a Packer. That's going to be traded out, though, by Giddy swinging wide. Though Giddy taken down just afterwards, JJ's got 2, and Bry's got another on the Bino. That means that it's time for the push to come through. Bay spots 1 inside of blue. He needs to not be capitalized, and somehow he's allowed to push forward, take that kill, and then fall back. The presence of that Mira still being there means that it's going to be really really hard for Valkyrie to try and get a plant down anywhere. And
What?
Deity's just
No!
killed his teammate. A horrible mistake. Bay's gonna swing at the right time. He'll take down Deity, and a 2-on-4's completely fallen apart for Valkyrie.
You do a perfect job of setting up a 4-on-2, being directly off of site, being just 2 seconds away from flooding in and taking site. How does that happen? Well,
I don't know.
benefit of the doubt. Man down and getting aggressive. Aerial Rise do such a good job of playing off their positions, playing off of the Mira and Bay, like you were saying, taking the gunfight to the player that he knows is going to be caught a little bit off guard in Oil Pit. So Aerial Rise pulling out a scrappy defense that they honestly really shouldn't have gotten away with.
Yeah, and those kinds of rounds are the ones that you'll kick yourselves over if you're Valkyrie, and this ends up being a better half for Aerial Rise than it looks like it will be as of right now. They're able to pull like 4 rounds out of this. You end up going later and later into that game, into this game, I guess is a better way to put it, but you go later and later thinking about that one round you could have had earlier on, and that is going to continue to bite at them just a little bit, but still plenty of time for Valkyrie to bounce back, and they are a very resilient team. Of course, a lot of big personalities on that squad, but that just means that, considering that, to my knowledge, they're all pretty friendly on very good terms, it'll just be even easier to bounce back, because, you know, having a good time with your buddies, a lot easier to bounce back from a rough round like that when you compare it to, like, you know, being in a situation where you don't feel necessarily so comfortable. You don't feel like you can be yourself. But they'll have to bounce back into the gym bedroom attack this time around with a pretty hefty CC extension, and they will start with that extension first.
And we're being a little harsh on them, honestly, just because the beginning of that round was so good for Valkyrie. They took so much space so quickly, and they look to do that again. 30 seconds in, they have plat wall open. I think they even have complete control over Raptors as well. Yeah, Deity is just walking his way all the way up. And in 40 seconds, they're all bringing the pressure to Bay on this top red stairs, and Inrio's going to have to help out, at least delaying time. But oh my god, so much util going into Bay's head. He's gonna just dip, dive, duck, and dodge around the grenades, but his shield's gonna go down. Inrio's gonna push a little bit far forward to be able to have some sort of concerted effort to hold this area. They're doing a good job of holding it down. But the pressure coming out of Team Valkyrie already, and that's not gonna work for Inrio. Head taken cleanly off, and Rival walking down knows that the second player was playing red stairs. But Bay is just gonna drop all the way back down, try to make himself stay alive. Packers still has a little bit of an angle to be able to maybe push for a flank if they don't know where these are.
For now, Valkyrie pretty safely inside of CC towards top red, towards Cash. Could be a little bit of a pincer movement later in this round, though. And again, like you had said, if they're not ready for this kind of a flank play, that could come later from Packer. That could be a huge problem, and Packer starts to activate by getting that kill on arrival. Good timing, though, on the swing of the window from Jay Hitman, and he will be good to take down Bay. Deity seemingly trying to move out towards Jim as well. They're ready for this aggressive play, but Bino and Packer are able to take 1 kill each, and then no matter how ready you are for it, it's not gonna work. Bino, Giddy, 1 kill each at the end, and another round in a row where it felt like everything was going Valkyrie's way, and then all of a sudden a flurry of aerial kills.
That's the thing about having a team like Aerial Rise, where every single individual player can just do something like that, can get a crazy Ferrari swing and then jump out of a window to clean up the round. Every single one of these players can do it. We know that Packer can. He's been in tier 1 for Christ's sake. We know that Bino and Inrio have had such a good time on this roster, and rounding it out with Bino and Giddy, this whole team individually has the skill to be able to do that, even when things are not looking great, even when Valkyrie have really good early round clears. When it comes to those gunfights close to sight, any player on Aerial Rise can just swing it all the way back for them.
A very valuable asset to have to your own advantage, to say the least, for Aerial Rise, and it's shown itself a couple of rounds in a row now. Very different cast of characters both times around, but still able to win those rounds. And they're kind of happy to give up a lot of this control that Valkyrie are getting so early. We've been commending them on how good they've been doing it, establishing a lot of control over the map really quickly. But Arial Arise feels like that's kind of what they want. They want Valkyrie to be as far pushed up as they possibly can so they can then swing off of some info they gather and use their own peeker's advantage to, well, win the round. pretty flat out said is into round number 4, they are going to look to complete the full site rotation as they swap to Cash and CC. And you were talking about how we don't see an awful lot of thermite out of this team.
I was just thinking that. They played it every single round except for the first round on basement where you really don't need to play a thermite. You know what? I wasn't going to bring it up. I was going to let it slide, but thanks for making me seem like a fool. Yeah,
You're welcome.
The thermite
That's what I love.
To the absolute perfection. Getting plat wall open, and already the yellow ping's coming out, making sure that Brian knows, hey, this is the wall that I need to go for next. I need that Thatcher, please. And they're going to be able to get as much hard breach as possible open. Now with JJ, with both of those exothermics used, and neither of them tricked out, they have a lot of pressure towards plat wall and also towards construction. And now JJ's just a gun. He can just run in. Even if he dies, he's done his job. So that lets him completely off the hook. Well, no, he has case.
Yeah, he can always drop it if he feels like it, but more comfortable in the back lines, giving the commands and going in for plants when the team needs that, but actually not able to do any of those things as Bay runs out on him on the construction balcony, and then he's able to get another kill on arrival, trying to kill him on the run back into kitchen. How do you get away with that one, Bay? It's Deity and Hitman in a 4-on-2 now that they were able to get one, but it's traded out. Inrio takes down Deity just after he found a kill, and it's only left to Hitman just kind of sitting outside, waiting for someone to run out the main wall. And maybe he'll get 1 or 2, but I highly doubt this is going to turn into a round win for Valk.
Bay's insane. Bay is just absolutely, he just took that round into his hands like we saw him do before, just running out, taking the gunfights to them, and Giddy's going to do the exact same. It's a 4-on-1. You can get a little wacky, you can get a little crazy, you can go out of windows if you absolutely want to. Hitman's going to be waiting for you, but it's only one gun on the other side, and 30 seconds left. It looks like Hitman's just taking the time, looking to see if anyone's going to peek out of plat wall, get a little aggressive on him. But honestly, even if he gets 1 kill, it's not really going to matter all that much, but taking this time to be able to talk to your team is very, very good, to be able to calm the nerves down just a little bit. Giddy takes him down, though. Even with that time, he's not going to be able to accomplish anything off of it.
Nothing is scarier to play against than a team who is playing with nothing to lose, and Arial Arise are pretty much doing that right now. They still have things to win, but you lose this game, oh well, what are you going to do, right? Valkyrie, it's like a very important game for them. This is a game day match against a team that is filled with some of the most talented you won. And you're looking at that on the other side of the server. You're like you got something to prove, right? You're here to show everybody that this new Valkyrie roster is going to be a serious contender in T2. Even though you're still pretty new together, you're still kind of forming that chemistry. It would still mean a lot to Valkyrie to win this game. But Arial, they're just kind of playing like, oh, whatever. It's just me and my friends playing in a tournament because we wanted to stack it, and here we are now. And that's just kind of the vibe that I'm getting from how Arial are playing. They're not, again, they're playing with nothing to lose, and that's
10 seconds to go.
very scary in the position of Valkyrie, because Valkyrie look like they're getting scared when they start to walk up on the rooms where Arial are actually kind of playing, and they're walking up on those extensions and getting very afraid of what lie on the other side in terms of the strength of the guns from Arial, and clearly for good reason, because Arial have been hitting some great shots there.
And that's exactly how this round is going to start. A fantastic hit, shot by Giddy, Hitman taken down. The last alive, the last round, isn't going to stand a chance in this round. He's going to walk back towards site, regroup with his teammates. And after 30 seconds, he's gained for himself and for his team the man advantage. So he's done the only job that he really needs to in this round besides staying alive on site and keeping those magnets up.
Exactly what you were talking about last round, at least last time they defended this objective. You were like, you gotta make them work for that control just a little bit more. And that's what they're doing right now. Packer's getting aggressive, C4ing Bry wherever he just was. I'm assuming it was just, you know, somewhere near kitchen. But Bry's gonna die in the process of trying to take some of this control. Giddy just got another kill on the Deity in the process of trying to take the control. Arial aren't giving this up to Valkyrie. They're just forcing them to work for it. They are forcing this attack to go in uncomfortable spots and take some uncomfortable gunfights. Because they can. And it's worked out wonders for them so far. Giddy's got a triple kill. Whoever decided to let Giddy off of the leash tonight? Valkyrie is very disappointed that you made said decision because he has been a threat so far. Normally well known for playing supportive roles, he's 7-3 thus far, and we are only 4 rounds in. Good kill for Rival, but it's an impactless frag. His base right there to trade it out. Arial Arise are dominating this defensive half.
I think after the second round, Arial Arise realized that they don't just need to hold site. They can't let Team Valkyrie just kind of walk in and take space. But what they can do is just completely disrespect them. That round opened up with a spawn peek. And throughout that whole rest of the round, it was just C4s. There was Giddy and also Packer at the very end just switched to their pistols and tried to take 1 Deegs to Rival. It was just complete disrespect coming out of Arial Arise. And they're able to pull it off because, like you were saying, players like Giddy are just going insane. They also is 5-2 right now, and the rest of the team are no slouches. They just really haven't had a chance to get into a gunfight for the past few rounds.
Yeah, it has felt like that. It feels like Valkyrie are getting their legs cut off before they can even walk up towards the building, and it's just... It has been hard to... It gets hard to break down. I do not envy your job in this position, as I've been there plenty of times before. Trust me, we all have been, where you're trying to break down a game where it just feels like one team is more confident, more skilled, and in better positions at the right times. They got a little too silly in round 1, but I think they were just kind of limit testing, and now they've found that right mixture between, all right, we're not going to run super heavy roam comps, we're not going to sprint around the map and try and peek everything, but we're just going to try and push it back in your face when you try and walk up on us. We're gonna wait until you're starting to threaten our the boundaries of our extension, and then make your lives a lot harder. Choose to activate it at times, and they're consistently activating with perfect timing. So now Valkyrie, I don't even really know how on earth you could respond at this point. You're putting Hitman on Thermite. I don't think I've ever seen this.
Rival does get the opening onto Giddy, though. That's the player that we were talking about the last round. Went absolutely insane for Arial Arise. So having that be the opening pick for Team Valkyrie bodes very well for them in this round. They have Platwell open. They have the opening pick. Now let's see what Team Valkyrie are able to do off of it as Hitman rotates back around and gets Jacuzzi Ball open as well. He's doing really good utility work.
Yeah, he's taking a step down. Maybe not feeling so great today in terms of the fragging department. And opting to help the team out by getting some hard breach done. Love to see that out of Hitman, and generally, as a squad out of Valkyrie, seeing some kind of fluidity in roles when the time calls for it, because they've got a lot of very talented players on this team. As Rival, one of them, trying to pressure from below onto logistics. He's putting a lot of pressure on Bino, but Bino hasn't quite been forced out just yet. He's still sitting comfortably inside a cash vault, and Packer is able to kill Rival through the holes in the floor, I believe, that Rival was making just before. So, Valkyrie kind of in a bit of an awkward spot, as Giddy and Rival, the only two to have died so far. Deity's just right here. He's waiting for the right time to activate. But they're just saying, just wait, give it a little bit. Give us some time to make some progress elsewhere, and then you can start to go.
He has a full minute just to sit here and wait, holding the cutoff of Arial Arise. And with the drone at his feet, he's going to know he's going to have a yellow ping on whoever is going to be going through. He knows that Bino is playing back into this Logi position, and that the second player is going to be playing in Masked Veteran. So as soon as either of those players decides to cross, if they ever do, they're going to be walking directly into the sight line of Deity. Sorry, he's going to be holding a vertical angle. Oh, not quite able to find the gunfight on someone below him. Deity has walked his way into sight, taking down Israel, down on the ground. Oh, he's going to find the headshot on Bino. Deity takes his round and palm in his hands, and Hitman with a kill. Deity with another 2. Completely takes the round by himself, securing themselves the 2-4 half, which on a map like Clubhouse, on a defensive-sided map like this in a defensive meta, I honestly think they kind of salvaged it right there. This is not a bad half out of them.
Not a bad half. It could have been better. You think back to round number 2, they could have gone 3-3. You look at the 3-3 half coming out of that, and it's a great state of the game to be in. However, 2-4, you are kind of in a spot where you only have so much room to make mistakes, especially in these first couple of rounds. I would be surprised to see Ariel or Valkyrie win this map if they lose one of their first couple defenses, and Ariel are still at least a couple rounds up, just a couple rounds off of getting a win. Like, if they get to 5 and Valkyries only get 3, maybe even 4, that may be too much of an advantage for Ariel to have. And also, the kind of aggression that Ariel are playing with may translate really well to their attacks. They may be able to get great timings, and the confidence they're swinging with and the aim that they had, the mechanical skill they are displaying tonight really could come to help them a lot on these attacks, especially since for round 1 it looks like Valkyrie are going to try really hard to take this fight to Ariel wherever they entered the building. You got a Solus, you have a Vigil. This seems to be a pretty roam-intensive strategy.
It's not just going to be roaming with Vigil and trying to delay time. They're going to just hunt those drones, take out the info that Aerial Arise are trying to bring, and then just give him free gunfights. Hitman walking and staying in this secret area he's holding. Oh! The super short! He's going to take down Packerstar. Opening pick going for Team Valkyrie in the most Valkyrie way possible. Packerstar immediately going into chat. Just, what is that?
Inrio trying to make some progress towards Jacuzzi. He's about to get looked at by Rival.
No.
He hasn't been spotted here at all.
No!
He hasn't been spotted here at all. Bino's just taken down Rival, or rather just been taken down by Rival. Another kill for Valkyrie. And they're kind of doing what Ariel were trying to do in their first round, but they're being more patient. They're waiting for Ariel to walk into the sight lines that they have that Ariel aren't aware of. Ariel are trying to do way too much too quickly and streamline this whole process, and in the process of doing that, they've lost 2 players, and now they need to re-drone everything they already checked on the top floor just to make sure they're still safe. All of this, by the way, with only half of the round left to go. It is a very good start to the defensive half for Valkyrie.
We've got a game on our hands. Team Valkyrie looking like a completely different team on their defensive side. They had some good rounds on their attacking side, but Bry taking down Giddy and staying alive with just 1 HP, swinging again! But Inrio is able to get the trade for his fallen teammate, keeping it in just a 4 versus 2, but like you were saying, the time dwindling down. It's a minute left, and they've only just kind of started to have a little bit of control towards this mid floor. And they only have 2 players, Inrio and Bay, the last 2 alive, to do everything.
Well, we saw Ariel Arise pull off a 2-on-4 on the defensive side of this bomb site just a few rounds ago. Can they make it happen on the attack? Answer most likely no, as it's much, much harder to make it happen on this half of the map. However, could still work out. Flash down for Inrio, and he's the only one left alive, as Deity will be taking down Bay. It's just the Thermite. And he's in a very rough spot for the time being. No angles really allowed for him anywhere. Muro window on his walk-in for Moto, and basically no chance at walking in anywhere else. This is about as done around as there ever has been. Valkyrie are going to start their defensive half off with a very strong win. Inrio not even allowed to get an impactless frag, as Hitman will make an impact on the Thermite and close the round, closing our gap to just 1 round between these 2 teams.
What a statement out of Team Valkyrie. A fantastic start, like you were saying, to their defensive half. The second Aerial Arise stepped foot in the map, they had 0 ability to drone out because they were playing against a Vigil and a Solus. And the Vigil and Solus both were just getting up into their faces. Like we were talking about from the previous half, when you have a defensive side that is just disrespecting you, giving you gunfights, shooting your drones and not falling back, things are just so incredibly difficult. If Team Valkyrie can keep this up, I could very well see them not only just tying it back and bring us into an overtime, I could see them just clean sweeping it, because that round was gorgeous.
It really was, but it kind of speaks the same issues to me as you saw in round number 1 from Arial on their defensive half, which is just kind of, they're trying to do way too much, and they're not necessarily giving the respect over to Valkyrie that I think Valkyrie are forcing them to give. So at the very least, if Arial are going to continue to play aggro, continue to try and take these fights, you have to give Valkyrie the respect of proper droning and proper intel gathering. You can't just walk forward and shoot at them and you'll win every single round. That's kind of the vibe that I got from the round number 1, where they were limit testing. That last round, there were definitely a couple of oversights. A couple of players making plays where, you know, if they were 110% invested in their actual game day performance right now, they probably wouldn't be doing something like that, and you probably wouldn't be cutting corners like they did. Arial now, seemingly not going to do that as much. They're just taking slow control towards CC. They're still taking it pretty quickly, but they're taking their time, and they're not entering anywhere without having checked it first. Something that they were kind of doing last round, so very relieved to see them making the changes they need to coming into round number 8.
I'm really interested to see Hitman on this Thorn. This is a pick that we see from time to time, especially because she has a really good gun with a 1.5 and a shield. Hitman isn't even bringing a shield, he's bringing barbed wire, and most likely bringing it for the gun. He's holding the cross. We saw a little bit earlier, he's holding that long angle that Bino is peeking right now, all the way from construction to be able to deny out this plat wall. But Packerstar, hold on, he's walked all the way up. They have the cross on him if he pushes any further, but we see the red outlines out of Valkyrie.
There we go.
Guy's gonna peek into the gunfight. He's gonna get traded out by Hitman by that long angle. But with another pick going towards Arial Arise, that's man advantage, that's cash side, and that's a lot of control that you've forked over to yourself.
And now Arial, very aware that Valkyrie are going to want to reaggress after that. They themselves know it, as it's what they chose to do when they were in this exact position. So they're just posturing outside of a lot of different walls and breaches, waiting for some aggressive plays to come through from the defense, because they know that no defensive squad is going to be happy in a 3-on-4 in this kind of position. And so the natural next step would be for Valkyrie to try and reaggress. You can see Deity playing a little bit risky inside of Logic, hoping to catch somebody off guard, trying to play in through that exact hatch, but they seem to have some info on him, as Inrio has a red ping inside of Logi, and he's about to go for the swing. He doesn't have case here either, because Bino is the one who has that moving up through construction, and they're really trying to get Deity out of this position. He'll break his mirror so we can play it from the other side. His Hitman is going to start things off with a kill and a giddy. Another for Hitman. Make it 4. How on earth are we all going to fall to the Thorn? Well, we won't, as Deity's able to close it out with that final frag onto Inrio, dropping the hatch. But Hitman with an insane round right when they needed it.
That's the exact same thing as we saw out of the second round attack from Team Valkyrie on the previous half. A little bit of a different first round out of the defense, but Team Valkyrie doing the exact same thing, where the clear looked good. Arial Arise were picking up off of Team Valkyrie's over-aggression, giving them gunfights, like I say, that they might tend to do on the defensive side. But as soon as it comes down to sight, Hitman, with that Thorn's gun, with that Uzi that we all know is just so strong right now. Does it still have the 1.5 in test server? Or sorry, does it still have the ACOG on
I think it
test
has
server?
ACOG, yeah. I think so.
That's not. That needs to be changed. Please, some UB dev. If you're watching this tournament, if you're watching Tier 3 Siege, if you're watching Team Valkyrie versus Arial Arise, take that sight away from that gun. It's too good.
I mean, Hitman, the one piloting as well, still with an outstanding individual round, and he was pretty quiet after the first few. We even saw him drop back on a thermite. I pointed out in that round, I feel like I never see him do stuff like that. So, kind of feeding into the team environment, but this time prepared and ready to step up on that fragging role when his team needed to, and absolutely lived up to the hype and lived up to what he needed to live up to in order to get that 4th round for Valkyrie, in order for them to win that 8th round of the game. So now we move to Cash and CC. Arial Arise were able to win this one their first time through defending it. We'll have to wait and see if Valkyrie will have any more luck, as it's the Maverick tricking on the main wall. That will start this round off for Arial Arise. C4 out from Deity will help them open it just a little bit, but it's also going to do a bit of damage to Inrio. So, you'll take the exchanges where you can, and 40 seconds in, a slight advantage to Valkyrie, but the main wall is open, so I'm sure Arial are perfectly fine with that.
He's playing up on that server stack. Deity's getting just putting himself in a position where he is either going to get a kill, either going to have some incredible round-winning impact, or with the drones at his feet, nope, he's going to... He might have dropped back. Either way, Rival is playing the Solus, playing below to delay. That's a fantastic thing, because we saw him out of that first round just absolutely cleaning up when it came to Aerial Arises. Here, Deity taking so much damage, and Bri as well from that secret window.
Wow. Aerial are kind of trapped inside a garage for the time being. Bri trying to really bring the pressure to them. Rival all the way over by pool window, as Hitman is just sitting in this corner, hoping he can live as long as he possibly can. Incendiary bolts are all gone, by the way, so Giddy can't flush him out. They just have to sit here and wait for him to stop existing. Finally, Bay will put an end to his existence, but there was a kill in the meantime from Rival, so still a 4-on-4, and JJ is just doing so much trolling on the little camera. Gonna take a lot of HP off of Pack here. He's not gonna take all of it off though, and now, with that garage control established as well as platform presence still in the picture, and lounge presence being pretty actively denied by Giddy playing here, how do Valkyrie find a way back into this round?
And Deity has dropped all the way down into Oil Pit. If Aerial Arise don't know this... Oh no way he gets away with this. No!
Oh my.
He takes down the Monty, gets traded immediately by Bino, but the amount of impact that you have by taking down the Monty and taking down Aerial Arise's ability to just walk into sight and get plant down, that could potentially be the round-winning play. You have 30 seconds left, and you... Oh, hold on. So much damage taken by JJ. They were able to get that kill. This is the moment that it all comes down to. This is the execute. Any kill or any damage here is round winning. Bay gonna be able to take the head off of Bri. JJ swinging to try to get something back, but Bay on flat repel wins them the round. Great job out of Aerial Arise to bring it back and to save themselves, because like you were saying, they were so trapped in the garage position. But with the Monty able to work its way up, and with the trades from Aerial Arise back and forth, they're able to win their first attacking round.
Big time for them to win that as well. You lose that round, you have to attack into every single site you just lost, but again. But they're able to stabilize just enough, and that is very polar opposite to what we've been seeing all day from Aerial. On defense, we kept talking about how much they were swinging things, how aggressive they were playing. The first couple of attacking rounds, they were still kind of getting a little bit aggressive, especially in that round number 7 that we were watching just a couple rounds ago. But that was very structured. They brought a Monty. They tried to slow clear through Garage. They had presence established to deal with any retakes that Valkyrie were trying to do. They didn't overextend because they knew they didn't have to. And they win the round as a result. So good to see Aerial switch things up on a dime and play more restricted Siege, more careful Siege, when that's what's going to play to their benefit more than anything else. And so very happy again to see them able to make that kind of audible. It shows that they're not just here to have a silly fun time. They want to win. And so they're going to make the changes they need to.
This round out of Team Valkyrie, instead of it being Rival on the run with the Solus, it's going to be Bri. Bri's going to be playing it a little bit more differently as we see him fall all the way back down to the absolute basement. With no roamers or no real presence towards this mid floor, Aerial Arise is able to, like we saw out of Team Valkyrie, just take all of mid floor. This is a bit of puzzling defense out of Team Valkyrie. It's the first round on their defensive site, on their basement defensive site. Them getting up into Aerial Arise's face just completely won the round in the first like 30 seconds, 45 seconds. I don't understand this adaptation out of them to play super passively on their basement site.
I'd imagine it's just because, yeah, that last round, I think a lot of the things that happened in favor of Valkyrie were kind of mistakes on Aerial. Mistakes that I feel like Aerial haven't been making as much these past couple of rounds. So I honestly don't mind this switch up from Valk. I like the decision to fall back just a little bit more. It would be nice if you had some kind of phantom pressure here or there, maybe 1 or 2 players playing towards the top of a staircase, a la top of central stairs, like we saw Giddy doing, I believe. It might have been Bay, I forget exactly. But it's still not a bad, I don't think it's a bad decision at least, just to opt to fall off that kind of a roam game, because you don't want to get overconfident, over-aggressive, and then Aerial are just kind of dotting their I's and crossing their T's more than they were the last time around, and then you're the ones at a 2-player disadvantage. And so far, honestly, Arial have made some solid progress, but I still don't quite think it's enough to draw that much concern yet for the Valk defense.
Impact Tricks went out, but now Churchwall is open. Arial Arise has control over this top oil pit as well, locking down Secret. They have a lot of control, and now they're setting up. Inrio goes in behind Churchwall. He's gonna get the opening pick onto the Mira, but it's gonna get immediately traded by JJ. So much damage going back and forth. JJ able to stay alive. Double kill for him in the round. Giddy dropping down connector hatch. He's gonna need to prone swing, gonna need to be able to find something back, because if they don't, Team Valkyrie has the man advantage, has all that space. Bay and Giddy able to get kills out of nowhere. Bino walking down, still Secret side. 30 seconds left. They need to get this plant down. But now they have the man advantage and the space to be able to do it. Rival hearing the plant going down, but does he know that stock hatch is held? Now he does! So much damage, but it's gonna be Giddy on site to take him down. The reverse vertical holes, or sorry, the feed hole is gonna work in Giddy's favor. Able to get the cleanup on oil pit, and the second in back armory. Great job out of Giddy and a fantastic round out of Arial Arise, and that's Matt Point.
They kind of just gave up all the blue presence they had. Bino was starting to pressure it from Secret Stairs, but then Giddy's able to walk that far up into Church. No one does anything about him. Valkyrie just felt like they weren't holding anything as actively as they needed to. They forfeited way too much control over to Arial. And then there was no chance they were getting it back, given the angles that Arial were holding by that point. And that's a little more understandable when you're on the defense like Cash and CC, where it's pretty easy to take control of and then hold an area like Lounge or Garage as an attacker. But on defense, like, Church is supposed to be pretty much a safe haven. Blue, like, no, I don't know if anyone died in there. Maybe somebody overswung a mirror. I don't think we happened to catch that one. But even still, like, it's supposed to be much more friendly towards playing around some anchoring, and you can swing off of info like those mirror windows that you had to then time it well. But it felt like Valkyrie just weren't doing the swinging part, so Giddy could just walk up, take all that control over Church, and then kill everybody in the eventual post plant.
5 seconds to insertion.
You can't win a round if you just turtle. Even on sites like that, even on sites like Basement, where you theoretically have a ton of control, have a ton of space, and you have so many hard anchor points that the attackers really do need to clear out when clearing is really difficult in this meta. Even still, if you give the attackers the entire map besides site, Arial Arise, like in that last round, were able to set up perfect gunfights. We're able to open up Church Wall with 1.5 minutes left, and then just set up perfect gunfights, fully push in, or just take as much time as they possibly need. But that's not how this round is going to start. Hitman doing exactly what is needed for his team, stepping up when it's needed. 10 and 7, 2 opening kills in this round, 2 dead for Arial Arise, and although he gets traded, a fantastic start for Team Valkyrie.
There's that kind of aggression and roam game that you were clamoring for from the side of Valkyrie. Why'd you abandon it? It was working earlier on. Well, seems that Hitman asked his team that question, and they couldn't come up with a good answer for him, so they said, you know what, just go do it again. And it's worked wonders for them early on. Bry's also still alive upstairs inside of Cash Room. Bay's going to take down Rival, though, so that's definitely a good start for Arial Arise. And now, this is where the roam game starts to look a little worse, because you've got one player on an island who's just hoping to waste as much time as he can before the inevitable pinch comes in.
They know he's there.
Yeah, they know exactly where he is. They are so ready for this position. Bry just needs to fight his way out. He's stuck in the Thunderdome, and eventually it'll be Bay, the one to dispatch of him. Bry goes down, and an eventual man advantage for Arial Arise. Takes about half the round to get there. How do we feel about that?
It was a good adaptation. As soon as I saw that Vigil pick out of Team Valkyrie and out of Bry, I was thinking, this is fantastic. This is what we need. But Rival dying on the other side of that top floor roam, like you were saying, left Bry on an island. Even with his utility, even with his ability to stay hidden from drones, if you have a crossfire set up on you and a drone staring at you and sound of you just shuffling your feet, staring at the drone, they're gonna know where you are. Now, Arial Arise, 50 seconds left, and they've taken that mid floor. They have the 3-on-2. Now they just need to transition that to site. It shouldn't be too hard for them, as Packerstar is now getting open Church Wall.
The Selmas will be very helpful in opening that wide open. JJ and Deity, the only defenders who could do anything about it right now. Deity has a pretty solid angle here, and they don't have his armory hatch open, so he could just look for the feed of the player walking out from bottom main and very easily take a kill. They could end up relying on that kind of a play to be what gets the plant down, but Bay's starting to stick it anyways, and no activation from either remaining defender. JJ swings out, but he's caught in an impact hole, and that's not going to help. Neither is Deity getting caught in the middle of his rotate as well. Inrio catches both to close, and Arial Arise will close out on the first map of the series, 7-4.
Valkyrie did a really good job of fighting back, but when it came down to it, Arial Arise were able to win the one-on-one gunfights. Just focus down rival, focus down that Solus that otherwise would have just completely ripped into their info game. And a 7-4 finish for Arial Arise makes it look a little bit more clean than it actually was in the game. I think going into this next map, it's gonna be a banger.
I'd like to imagine. I think it could get pretty solid. That is the map pick of Valkyrie, though. We do need to keep that in mind. That's where, of anywhere in the pool, they chose to send themselves. And so, with that in mind, we do move forward into map number 2. It'll be on Border up next, a map that Arial chose to go to, and a map that is very, very good for teams who like to make it very hard to get in the building on the other side. Kind of similar to what Arial Arise were doing on their defense. They were just waiting for some entries from Valkyrie, trying to catch them in uncomfortable spots. I think that we could see a very good side of Arial Arise come out on Border. We're going to cut to a break, though, and so after that, we will see whether Arial Arise are able to dominate on their own map pick and send themselves to the semifinals, or whether Valkyrie are going to send us to a map number 3. Stay right here. Hello everybody and welcome back for map number 2 between Arial, Arise, and Team Valkyrie. Arial come into today with a team that we haven't seen play together on game day, yet in map number 1 they were playing off of each other like they know each other's strats inside and out. It was like they were all on the exact same wavelength, and Clubhouse, as a result, went decisively to them 7-4. Now we go into their own map pick of Border. What are your expectations coming into this map, Irish?
Unfortunately, we saw some really good looks out of Team Valkyrie on that map. I'm a little bit more scared when it comes to this map because, like we were talking about, the real strength for Arial Arise is those individual players, their ability to just take a round in their hands and just win it off of going out a window, getting a double kill, re-swinging, and just being absolute insane people. So going onto a map like Border, I'm a little scared when it comes to Valkyrie's chances to be able to shut that down, because when we saw on the defensive side of Clubhouse, when Arial Arise disrespected Valkyrie's clear, Valkyrie didn't really know what to do with that. And on a map like Border, that's kind of just how you defend the map.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when we watched that last map. I mentioned it briefly before the break. It's just like so many strats on Border have just grown to encompass so much of the same floor, or just so much of the map being held all at once. It's kind of like Skyscraper in that regard, and it can kind of, even more so than Sky though, because you can open even more angles than are available to you on Skyscraper from every different corner of the map, and it just makes for a very, very hectic game if that's what you want it to be. In Arial Arise, even before they played with this squad, like their iteration that we all knew them as through Element 2 was a pretty solid team on Border. So a couple of the players on this team have shown in the past that they are a very good Border team. So it'll be very, very comfortable for Arial, and of course they really liked to push it to the brink. They would have woos play off the office triple wall and swing players who tried to enter top east or tried to play office single window. You would have people extending into CC, right? They would really do the utmost of that they possibly could to hold every corner of the map as long as they could. And so that's something that Valkyrie struggled with. And when they're not getting given some map control to start, Valkyrie were having a hard time making some forward progress. So hoping for their sake that is remedied coming into this map. As coming into Border, the ban phase has come and gone. Fenrir, the only big difference between last ban phase, and that's so important to me because that means you're leaving the Azami up. Azami on this map can just turn CC and Catwalk and Office into just a playground.
Yeah, not only that is the fact that Team Valkyrie decided to ban out the Solus. Don't get me wrong, it's a very good ban on this map. Like you were talking about, a lot of the takes out of the attack come down to taking CC, come down to taking top floor. So Team Valkyrie on their defensive side would be able to abuse the Solus in a very, very, very beneficial way. But I don't. That's why I don't like the ban. Because that's exactly what they were doing when they won rounds on Clubhouse. Rival was just running around on Solus, taking down drones, baiting for Bry on the Vigil. So banning out Solus instead is a very interesting choice out of Team Valkyrie. Now, like you were saying, that leaves up Azami, and Bry's picked onto that immediately. So maybe, just maybe, because they have some kind of Azami strats that they really like on their defensive side, they've decided to keep her up. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to give them benefit of the doubt and say that it is a strategic choice to be able to abuse Azami on their initial half to rack up as many wins as possible before they need to switch.
Yeah, Rival with his Solus off the board for this map will be swapping over to Wamai. I was assuming he was going to play towards top of east, but he's actually going for this. Oh my. That could have been bad. Like, that could have been crazy. Yeah, it must have been some kind of timing where he's like, okay, after this many seconds I'll start shooting and that'll mean that they're here. Just a little off in his timing, but he still is alive, which is of course the most important part. Now, Arial Arise may feel a little bit more scared to enter the building than they were just moments before. However, Bino is already in top east as they've noticed that there's so much pressure down towards customs that means that they can't allocate anybody towards that area of the map. And now with the flashes, they may be able to push forward onto Bry.
Bry is holding his position back break room. The prone angle, he's expecting someone to swing up close, but in Rio is going to be holding the cross from the other side. Pakistan knows that's the position Bry is going to play, but with the Kiba barrier is going to block that flash. Oh, the prone swing out of Inrio, so much damage taken, not a smart decision out of him right now. And the opening pick is going to go to Ariel Arise. Another from Bay, a third. Only able to be traded back by Rival, but he's going to be the last alive in a split second. Team Valkyrie just fall apart, and Pakistan puts the final nail in the coffin. A statement out of their first attacking round from Ariel Arise.
We're just watching Rival stare at that window like, oh, here he comes. Once he comes around that corner, I'm gonna get him. And then Packers just pre-fires him, and before you can even see a pixel of the ace, Rival is so dead. He's just so dead. And as a result, Valkyrie have lost that round. But it's not because of Rival. It's just generally the defense just fell apart. They gave away that initial control towards top east, and then from that point forward, Ariel Arise were just looking for every single avenue, and the instant they found something, they took advantage of it. They were walking into office, they were pressuring Fountain, they were pressuring break room, and they were doing everything they possibly could to make every single Valkyrie defender as uncomfortable as possible. And Valkyrie again continue to struggle with timing their swings correctly or getting active in the right places at the right times. Maybe they're not getting active at all. I don't know. We didn't catch a ton of that because it all happened at the same time. But that was a problem for them last map, like not swinging things when you feel like they should to establish some pressure. And that feels like makes it feel like Ariel are just like, okay, I guess we could just walk forward and take this fight then and use the Peeker's advantage to our own favor. So I feel like Valkyrie need to be a little bit more proactive. I feel like they're lacking that kind of scaring of Ariel Arise, where Ariel feel like they're not allowed to just walk forward and take the map control.
It's a lot more difficult to play that when you don't have something like, I don't know, say an IQ on defense that will be able to spot out drones, to be able to deny info, but also play aggressively with a really good laser beam gun.
Okay, man.
I'm not.
I see what you're talking about.
It's all right. Anyways, Team Valkyrie, like we were saying with Bry, is going to be able to try to use the Azami utility to as much effect as they possibly can, because that's the power operator. That's a power operator that they have chosen to bring for their attack side. Oh,
Whoa.
The Claymore is going to stop him from swinging out like he really wanted to. And a few pixels on the side of Team Valkyrie keeps Bry alive for just a second. Deity getting the opening pick onto Bay. That's a good start for them, as Bry has stayed alive, gotten healed back up to full HP and just a little bit more, denying drones, denying Packers entry, and delaying so much time. A minute off the board, and just a little bit of space towards top east. Works out for Ariel Arise, but an instant trade coming out of Bry means that man advantage is still maintained for Team Valkyrie. Oh my god, wait a minute! Team Bry swinging directly into Pakistan. Another 1v1 taken by Bry. He's going to be able to prone, stay alive. He knows still going to need to work this area.
Much better job by Bry, swinging stuff actively so Ariel feel like they can't just push onto him. And the instant they try to, he has the timing thanks to that barbed wire. Such a better defensive setup from Valkyrie. And it's automatically paying off. Just left to Packer. 1 against 4. Get some nice shots. Not quite able to score on any of them though. And it will be Bry to close after an outstanding hold inside of break room, where he was literally just put up against the wall, but he fought back hard.
That is the most impact that I have ever seen out of a dock. The barbed wire having so much impact like you were talking about, and also the second barbed wire placed all the way out on West Breach, potentially if a member of Ariel Arise came through. They didn't, but if they had pushed towards West Breach, that also would have been able to give a sound cue. Bry staying alive like you saw at the very, very, very end on a sliver of health. He was overhealed by the dock after taking a gunfight earlier in the round. So with that single pick, you're able to get all that value. A great pick out of Team Valkyrie, and a great adaptation because they brought a relatively similar lineup from the first round. They just played it significantly better because they were able to stay alive on those extend positions, because they were able to just be healed back up whenever they took any damage.
well, after their second time through finally goes well on Armory Archives, or Armory Archives, it's time to go to Bathroom Tellers. I mixed up Tellers and Archives for a second, as everyone does. I feel like that's just kind of a given, right? Like, I know Bank has Tellers Archives. I think there's another Tellers Archives somewhere. And so now everyone just associates Tellers and Archives. And they do now if they didn't before, because then if they didn't, then I would just look like an idiot, and I can't let that happen.
No,
Anyways,
everybody does it. Everybody does it.
Thank you. All right. Anyways, 15 seconds into round number 3, Aerial Arise obviously know where they want to attack to, and they're going to try and go for a little bit more of a workshop over style of attack. JJ playing in here on the mute along with Rival inside of Customs is going to mean that it's very hard to get into anywhere on this first floor. But that's just kind of, again, how you play Border. We're talking about a lot going into this. It's very important that you make it as hard for your opponents to get in the building. Get in the building as possible. Such a small map with so many avenues that can be opened up. You really got to try and make them work for every inch and every mile that they're given, and Hitman isn't going to give away Break Room just yet. It was clear just a second ago, but the re-aggression from the Legion, perfectly timed to catch out Packard.
This is what I was worried about Aerial Arise doing, not Team Valkyrie. They able to get the trade onto Bry, evening out man count, but with Inrio so low after taking a gunfight, it's still favored towards Team Valkyrie's side. And Hitman's still out on the lurk position. He's still swinging a little more for a gunfight. He's not quite going to be able to find the pixel onto Aerial Arise any member. But a C4 coming out from JJ, taking down Inrio, and also downing Bino down all the way on the ground. Giddy taking down Deity. He's going to even it out only nominally because, again, Bino is down but not out, sitting on the ground.
He should get picked back up. Rival on a flank here. C4 from behind isn't going to find anything. Bino picked back up, and in the meantime, they did manage to kill Hitman inside of Fountain. So, Rival opts to fall off that flank play and just try and play around Workshop and Bathroom as they no longer have control over the Tellers, at least not anymore. And right now, just the presence inside of Workshop and the presence inside of Bathroom is all this defense has to work with. Rival waiting for someone to try and swing him from one of these vert holes, and he may be given an opportunity soon by Bino, but Bino instead going to opt to walk towards metal stairs. That's going to be a slight issue for Valkyrie, as they may not be prepared for that, but they're much less adequately prepared for a push right into Tellers, which might be where Ariel end up going with this, and it seems to be, as Bay is kind of pivoting his focus towards that Tellers ending. And with JJ and Rival positioned where they are not in great spots to deny any kind of plant that goes down in here. They're just paranoid about it getting dropped on from these hatches right above them. And now, with the crossfire being set up at the window, this should end going pretty well. However, they barely have any time. So if JJ's able to cross soon enough, or if he's able to down Giddy on his cross, this could all fall apart for Ariel. And so it has. And now it's just left to Bay, trying to stick a plant, but it won't work out. A good attempt from Ariel, but you can't sneak by JJ, not at that time and not in that place.
Team Valkyrie on their defensive side able to delay so much time. Hitman on the roam. Even when he didn't clean up like we know that he can on this defensive side, just looking towards the last map on that Thorn round. even though he doesn't do that this round, he delays so much time that, like you were saying, Team Valkyrie, even with the IQ up, aren't able to clear cams, aren't able to deny all the info from Valkyrie, or able to just set up the execute. They need to just rush in through a Flores hole, get plant down at 0-0, and not able to take the gunfights that they need to win the round. The Team Valkyrie playing time, using that sixth man to absolute perfection. And now they've gotten for themselves an advantage on their defensive half. And I know that we were saying earlier, especially on the previous map, that hey, defense is easier, attacking is harder. This is kind of the only map in the pool, besides, I don't know, maybe Chalet, that you could say, that you could see going attacking sided and not really be super surprised. So Team Valkyrie, if they're able to double down on this and really handily win their defensive side, they're gonna look quite good going into the second half.
Attackers are moving to defuse a bomb.
Very good stylistic fit for Aerial Arise once they get to defense, though, so I don't want to call anything too soon, but solid point with the Valkyrie on their defense, and, you know, they didn't look so great on their defense on the clubhouse. So to see them play pretty solid, even thus far, only 3 rounds in, still a very good sign to see at possibly a better future to come on this map. Of course, this map being one they haven't played yet this tournament. So we're getting to see this team on this map for maybe the first time we ever have on stream. Maybe sometime during Quals they made it on stream. I don't quite know. The Packer, through the wall, has just killed Bry. A headshot will swiftly dispatch of the Warden. And all of a sudden, an attempt at getting a little cheeky and forcing the attackers to work for any control that they get across the map has turned into 2 players dying on the defense.
They're just shooting through walls. They're just pre-firing, and somehow they're able to catch so many Team Valkyrie members out. Rival is gonna really want to give them a head-on.
Oh my God!
But it's gonna be Deity to be able to make the difference. They shutting Deity down, maintaining man advantage. But Valkyrie with that double kill closed the gap just a little bit more, and Rival's still in this tucked close position. He needs to do exactly what he did on the round playing as Solus in the previous map. Avoid drones, make sure that he specifically is misdroned. Hold on, if Faye walks in through this door, I don't think he knows.
Do they hear him? They might hear him.
They
Swing off the
definitely
EU1D. Oh! Through the wall! It looked like he was cheating. Someone check his MOS files. Because I don't believe that one for a second. I don't believe that one for a second. Rival gets 3 at the end. And Valkyrie, an astonishing comeback to get themselves up 3-1.
This is what we need. This is what we need to see out of Team Valkyrie. A fantastic round out of just Deity. Hitman and Rival and the rest of Team Valkyrie doing what they can to be able to delay time. But at the end of the day, that's just a Deity round. Playing close in that corner, making sure that he's not droned out, and swinging off of Ariel Arise not being able to have the info.
Just wow. He wasn't even playing Vigil or Solus this time. He was on Oryx. If there's anyone you should be able to know they're there when you drone a room, it's Oryx. That is a big guy. But even still, just an outstanding individual round from Rival. And that's just what this Valkyrie team has a lot of potential to do that I personally had an issue with the old iteration of the Valkyrie roster. That was just JJ, Deity, Amty, and then also Marmalade and Neo. They've got so many good players on this team that are able to create opportunities and win individual gunfights, where I felt like the last iteration of the team, you had a lot of great players, but none of them are quite that entry kind of spur-of-the-action type of player that you have here with Hitman, with Rival, and now you have a couple of them that have that potential to bring yourselves back from the brink after not getting an early advantage and getting that opening pick. Or, if you're able to get that opening pick, because of those kinds of players. I think this lineup has a lot of solid potential, and I'm really happy that we're starting to see it right here and right now up against a team with as good of individual players as Ariel Arise. I'm really looking forward to seeing Valkyrie progress through the E2, the Element off season, if you will, with the T3 tournaments going on. Ariel, though, going to start this one off very strong by dispatching of Hitman quickly.
And that's not only just a really good gun off the board, like we were talking about before, he's actually able to use the utility and able to use those heals to a really good effect supporting Bry here. So Hitman being the first to go down means that Bry needs to play significantly more passively, and we see him do that. He's not holding back break. He's not allowing Ariel Arise to set up a potential crossfire, because if he takes too much damage, he can't just drop back, get healed back up, and just go straight onto the front lines once again. He needs to play more passively. And Ariel Arise are using that and taking the space that is given to them.
Still a minute 20 seconds in, and haven't taken so much space quite yet. Top East really all that they have for now. They do have good info though, and that's going to help out a ton in trying to move forward and deal with some of these forward players. For example, dealing with JJ is going to be dealt with quite easily. And that's a good start for Giddy. However, Giddy now knocked down. Packer a little awkward over here. He's trying to do a little too much. Takes out the breach charge for just a moment, but Bay eventually able to kill Rival, so that's just fine. The knockdown on a Giddy is going to need to do wonders for them later because Bry is still alone. Somehow allowed to get away with that kill. Not sure how Baze let him get that done, but it's just a 1-for-1 in the end. And now a 1 versus 3, thanks to the res being facilitated now onto Giddy. And Bry over towards Armory Lockers doesn't really have that much info. Doesn't really have a great position because it looks like Aerial Arise are just going to try and push this from office side. As they drone forward, they should be able to see that no one's really over here. In Rio, ready for some kind of play towards this Armory Lockers wall, but Bry will fall off just at that time and wait for some kind of opportunity further forward. They have spotted him out on drones, though. He's shot 2 of them, but now they know exactly where to expect him. He can rotate out, but if they're just going to pinch him, especially with the help of the air jabs, he's going to have to activate somewhere, chooses to activate towards Armory Lockers, but Inrio will win the one-on-one, and Aerial Arise have gotten it back to within just a round.
Usually, Hitman taking a solo swing on a dock. That's something that I would hear somebody say that, and I'd think, you know what? Let him have it. Let him have the swing. And especially on an operator like Doc, that's you kind of most of the time just playing off of your own gun, off of your own utility, and playing for yourself. But in that round, and especially because of the way that we saw he was able to use it before, him taking the initial gunfight and him losing the initial gunfight potentially is the lose condition for Team Valkyrie for that round, as Brian needed to play a little bit further back, wasn't able to hold across, wasn't able to delay on top east, so Aerial Arise just rush in, have top east control, have that beachhead, and are able to just steam through the rest of site with that, leaving Bry as the last alive, playing a little bit more passively. This round, nobody playing Doc, nobody holding that top aggression, or sorry, nobody holding that kind of break room aggression. But Valkyrie, on their last defensive half, or their last defensive round of this half, looked to secure a lead.
Attackers are heading out to defuse the bomb.
Back to Bathroom and Tellers. This one, again, was a pretty solid defense for Valkyrie in that they won it, but looked a little shaky for the time being, and part of that does come down to Aerial saving everything for a bit too late in the round and make it very clear what their intentions were with how they were going to push. They had a good idea, just didn't quite have enough time to execute it properly, and as a result, they tried to cut some corners that they could not afford to cut. This time around, looking to establish some east stairs control first, pressure out Rival, who's playing over there for now with the regenerative Kibas and all that. Have to imagine that once the nerf comes through, this will be a very different kind of position to play should you choose to still play it as an Izami. But it will still persist for now. And the Rotero drones are just going to be kind of a nuisance, and eventually he's decided, alright, you know what, we're going to fall off and just board the door off so you can't get the angles onto me. But I don't really have that position anymore, and that could mean this top floor hold will start to fall as Bino enters into east stairs.
Even if it starts to crack and crumble just a little bit, it's a minute and 15 off the board. Bino just barely having some sort of space, having none now, down to the ground. Hitman absolutely Ferrari swinging clean, takes his head clean off. And the one piece of area that Aerial Arise had is now forfeited. Packerstar with a double. Hold on. Now he has complete control of office. I eat my words. Bry and Hitman now just sitting dead on the ground.
They eat the bullets of the AK-12.
I was thinking of some way to transition that into...
Yeah, that's what I knew you were. I knew you were. I knew it. Trust me, I've been there. We all been there. Rival's been wherever Pack was just now, and he's just taken down Packer. That is a big kill to find. There's no more aces on the board, and that could be limiting later in the round, depending on what's reinforced by this defense or what isn't. Still on 3, 45 seconds left, and I fear we may be seeing a similar conclusion to this round as we saw the last round for Aerial Arise, which is that it's too obvious what they're going to do because they don't have enough time to make it happen. Inrio trying to make a play happen towards square, and he is able to get into waiting. That's something. but Rival's right here. Could very easily deny a plant, should have come down soon. 25 seconds to go. Inrio somehow able to get in and kill Rival. I don't know how that was allowed to happen. JJ's still watching for this drop of the bathroom hatch, and eventually it will come through. They're not looking at him. He does get one, but eventually it'll still fall anyways. Bay and Inrio clean things up. They've avoided the emergency. And the flashbangs didn't work, but they're still going to be just fine, Arial, as they even us out 3 rounds apiece at the end of that half.
A great trade from the double swing from the double fall out of the hatch, but if you're playing back bathroom and 2 flashes don't hit, the question mark came out in chat from Giddy, and I think it's warranted. Is if the flashes don't hit, if you have that positioning advantage coming out from just being able to play that, you should be winning that gunfight. Either way, 3-3 going into their attacking side. It's an attacking sided map out of any in the pool, and Team Valkyrie look really good on their attack. Aerial Rise have looked really good as far as swinging, as far as their gunfight capabilities. So this half, going in with a essentially blank slate as it's 3-3 right now, anything can happen.
It's like it's the first half, except it's not, because in the first half you can't win a game outright, and in this half they technically could. I'm not gonna lie, don't know what I was going for there. Just a little bit of a pet peeve when you ever heard someone say where it's like it gets into like overtime and it's like, or no, you get to like map 3 and it's just a best of 1 all over again. You know when people say something like that? It's recently been brought.
I don't mind that.
I don't like mind it. It's just been brought to my attention, like by a friend recently, where they were like, "Well, yeah, it's a map of the game, but you gotta add the context to the, whatever." I'm trying not to waffle. I don't want to yap too much. I don't want to be too much of a yapper.
Yeah, AKA.
All right. 30 seconds.
You do tend to be a little long-winded sometimes.
I know. Okay. Jeez. 30 seconds into round number 7. And it goes to Armory and Armory Lockers and Archives for the Aerial Arise defense. So they've got a much more kind of structured setup here, it feels like. A lot more reinforcements, a lot less left up to chance, where you don't have a zombie being brought, so you're not going to hold as much inside a break room, but this player 90, the player in CC that Bay is, and the fountain as well, it's really kind of all concentrated. Everything is accounted for. You have crossfire set up everywhere to watch for all your teammates, and you don't have to hope that someone doesn't take advantage of a certain angle or hope that someone has an insanely good performance. Kind of how it felt with some of the Valk defensive setups. Arial are leaving it less and less up to that chance. And as a result, they're starting this round off pretty strong as Valkyrie cannot find an in.
Team Valkyrie giving them the respect of not swinging into them. There's so much utility to be able to play off of, like you were saying, from this defensive side. They're giving them the space. They're not swinging into a Mira. I think that's a really good choice, but now that they have it open, JJ and Bry, 2 picks going their way. Another trading back from Bay here, making it a little bit less of an advantage for Team Valkyrie, but still, they're making their way towards site. Hold on, Dino completely evens it out. 3-on-3. Team Valkyrie versus Aerial Arise, and it's 3-3 on the board and 3-3 in the game.
Deity's made his way up towards 90. This could be a big problem for the defense because it doesn't look like Bay's expecting this kind of position at all. And they don't have anyone really towards CC or towards break. Bay flashed off, so if the play comes out now, it'll be great in its effectiveness, but it's only good for the 1. Traded out very quickly thereafter, and now just a 2-on-2. 40 seconds to go as Bino and Packer still pretty safe inside the site. Packer activates, though, as he's retaking that 90 control, but now they're getting pressured in on from Archives, and he's got to get back towards the site. Hitman tries to turn on him, but he can't turn fast enough, and now it's a 1-on-1 rival. Significant health disadvantage, so he's trying to stim himself back up, get whatever he can back on the board, and try and play with whatever aggression he can find within himself, but Packer will smite it down right in front of him. A 1-on-2 for the Aruni, as Valkyrie not quite able to take round number 7.
It's a 1-on-1, you're getting red pinged, you press tab to see who you're playing up against, and it is the one player in this server who has been in tier 1. It's so incredibly unfortunate for Team Valkyrie, but on the other side, a great round out of Aerial Arise. Things got a little bit hectic towards that mid round as Team Valkyrie were able to use their utility, clear off the Miras, and slowly clear space. I like the defensive adaptations. I like the slow coming out of Aerial Arise. But also for Team Valkyrie looking towards that other side, they lost the round. But again, it came down into a 2-on-1 that was quickly turned into a 1-on-1. But Team Valkyrie are giving Aerial Arise the respect that they deserve. They're not giving them gunfights. They're not swinging into them like I was honestly a little bit worried that they might do. They're playing slowly, clearing area that they need to. I like that round out of both sides. Ends up going towards Aerial Arise, but a good round for both.
Yeah, both willing to retake some space. Packers bold play to try and retake 90 later, only to then rotate back. Valkyrie very willing to go for that 3-2-1 that worked so well early on to pressure the players in office and get 2 kills for themselves. I really like to see that kind of coordination. Just that you're playing together and playing off one another. So that's a great sign to see for a still relatively new team, all things considered. That is Team Valkyrie, as many of these teams are still pretty new. I don't think we actually saw a single full roster stick together after Element 2. Our good friend Pat Chisel, also known as Patches or Patrick, not the Patrick I'm casting with right now, is rival with a quick shot onto Bay. He was telling us about how nobody stuck together after Element 2, other than Space Station Academy, but recently was announced that they're going to be dropping Trevmax. So that is all to say that everyone is still pretty new together. To see Valkyrie play this well off one another is still a good start, and to see them start this round off so strongly is also a great start, but to see that is definitely a bit of a weaker continuation. And Giddy will take down Hitman second of all. Third of all will be Inrio, continuing the hot streak for Ariel, as down goes Rival.
He does not know how close he was to staying alive. Hold on, Bry being taken down by C4 through the floor. And a 4-on-2 quickly even down into a 3-on-2. This is very winnable. No, Packers start with another pick and Inrio with a final one to close it out.
Just that everything that Valkyrie tried to do on their entries after the actual entry pick just went completely wrong. Hitman had the right idea in trying to watch that angle, but it was just such an awkward angle. That's one of those doorways where you just feel so weird trying to fight around it, and then you think you're moving through it, but then you get stuck on the doorway a little bit. I'm pretty sure that's what happened to Hitman there, and that in and of itself kind of a representation of what happened to Valkyrie throughout the whole round. They had the right idea, but stumbled a little bit in the execution, just made 1 or 2 slight errors, and that ends up costing them big time. Now they're calling a timeout, and I like this opportunity. I like this decision by them because, chance to talk things back over. You feel like you're losing control, and you still have a lot of solid signs, but you're kind of losing some of the cohesion and coordination, ability to play off one another that you were looking pretty solid at so far through this tournament. So just get that mental reset back in. You're going to need it because Ariel have not lost a defensive round yet, and they are almost at match point by this point in the game.
Yeah, like I was saying before, that kind of anything could happen. Now Aerial Arise just completely take the game. It evened out at 3-3, and then as soon as it swapped onto their defensive side, Aerial Arise just looked like an absolute beast. We saw it out of last game. The first 2 rounds out of the defensive side after they switched looked really strong. But now it's Aerial Arise, like you were saying, so close to match point. Just 1 round away from map and also match point against Team Valkyrie. This is so much pressure on this team. So I think given that, it was a really good choice to take that timeout. Take that breathing room to be able to say, hold on, we can slow down. Swap up our operators a little bit, play something, and both of these operators out of Bry, the Gridlock and also the Grim, potentially looks to stop some of the aggression that's coming out of Aerial Arise's defense.
We'll have to wait and see if it's actually going to come to fruition within this round, as we go down to Ventilation and Workshop, a site that we didn't really see Valkyrie try that much. I want to say maybe we saw it once, but I don't even know if we did, to be totally honest. My memory is failing me, but Packer not going to be failing on this initial entry play. He's almost got 3. Another one prone behind the other 2 that he just shot down. That's going to be the one who falls him. However, he'll just die right after to Inrio, who was able to get 1 right before on top of that. So it's 2 kills for both Packer and Inrio. And all of a sudden, all that time that Valkyrie spent trying to talk things over in the timeout, and they're barely even able to get a round that goes longer than the timeout they just called, as it takes slightly more than 45 seconds for it to all fall apart and Arial Arise if hit match point.
Arial Arise coming out of that timeout and almost seeming like they said to themselves, hey, do you want to do something wacky this round? You want to do something crazy? Hey, let's take 60 seconds.
I wanna do something crazy.
You want to do something crazy? All right.
I want to do something crazy. Let's go.
And that's exactly what they did. Inrio swinging everything. Packer Star running out of break room door and almost getting a 3K on 1 clip is insane. You cannot let him get away with that. You put down 1 single claymore like Arial Arise did on their attack, and it completely shuts down that play. Team Valkyrie need to know that, and they need to adapt as soon as possible because it's match point. You can't afford to lose any more rounds, otherwise you are out of XGS Spring Burst.
After all the work they did in the group stage, it would be a shame to see them go. They only actually played 2 maps, by the way, in that group stage. They only had to win 2 whole best of 1s, and they played for 1 night, so a little bit tongue-in-cheek there, but still. Arial Arise just kind of show up with a stack full of players that don't normally play together, and so far have been having their way with Team Valkyrie, and now clearly showing why they chose to go to border. They've got 3 rounds of buffer room before they really need to worry about anything, and I would even say that they don't necessarily need to really worry that much at all because they've looked so good these past couple of rounds. Valkyrie, the onus is on you to not let Arial Arise get away with what they've been getting away with consistently. And it's not for a lack of readiness. It's like in round number 9, we saw, or round number 8 rather, where we saw Hitman prepared for an aggressive play out of his opponents, just didn't quite convert. It's very clear that Valkyrie aren't necessarily not at all prepared for what Arial are trying to do. It's just that in execution, it's a lot harder to deal with than just being ready for it.
Yeah, you can think about it and you can strat beforehand about, okay, it's Packer, it's Inrio, it's players with a ton of experience and T1 experience as well. You can think, okay, they're gonna think, I can beat these guys, and they're gonna swing into us, and we can play off of that. But when it is actually Packer in the server, he can do things like run out of break room door and just absolutely deny your entire attack. But Inrio is going to be the one for this round to get the opening pick onto Deity. Holy flash down, he still gets a second! How? A 3rd round by Giddy, and at match point, he goes to get another one. Oh my god! Get a quad! No,
oh my.
Just barely getting shut down, and Bry the last alive with it all to do. And they're swarming him, they're swinging him, they're running around. He gets a hold on. Okay.
Whoa!
Hold on. In a matter of seconds, it turns from a 5-on-1 to a 1-on-1. Now finally it's taken down to a 2-on-1. As Packer is put back to full HP by the doc that we were talking so much about.
What?
The Bry getting swung from both angles and closed out by Arial Arise. GG's in the chat and a good game.
That is like the absence of anything beyond see person go shoot person within a round. Inrio did a great job at that. The rest of his team could have been a little better once he died, but still, something about a mute playing on Arial Arise and absolutely smoking people on that office triple wall. It was Woozed a couple months ago, who would so consistently wow us with plays on that exact wall. This time around, it's Inrio on the mute, but he's still able to get it done. And Arial Arise on the whole will get it done today against Valkyrie as they show up with their stack, and they are now ready for the semifinals, already clinching their spot inside the prize pool. All it took was just a couple of maps, and a big, big win for them. Very happy to have seen them move forward, and a good try from Valkyrie as well. It's still, as I had mentioned during the course of that game, still a pretty new team, all things considered. So very happy to have seen the signs of promise that we saw out of them and should be very optimistic going into the future for everybody on that squad and everybody who's, invested in the Valkyrie project. A lot of good should be brought out of this whole tournament. Unfortunately, you had to go up against a red-hot Arial team, and I just don't think it was going to be your day today.
Yeah, it's like you were saying, it's a very good look that we saw out of Valkyrie, but Arial Arise showing why these invited teams were invited to this XGS Spring Burst. The first invited team that we saw just absolutely... They didn't absolutely decimate Valkyrie. Valkyrie did quite well in their own right, but like you saw out of a lot of those rounds, Arial Arise were just a step above. PackerStar able to just completely do whatever the heck he wanted to, swing out on absolutely crazy swings out of break room, and the rest of the team following suit as well, like we were talking about in Rio, just going absolutely insane. So great job to Arial Arise, and you punch your ticket to a semi-final appearance in XGS Spring Burst.
Yeah, and so congratulations to them, of course. They will be moving on. Semi-final berth. I don't know. I'm going to be totally transparent. I don't know the exact bracket off the top of my head.
SSG
in terms
versus SSG ACAD versus somebody else versus
Exosiris plays the winner.
Exosiris. Oh wow,
yeah.
That's a tough game.
That's going to be a fun one. And so the winner of that game is going to play Arial Arise, of course, the winner of this game that we just watched. That will be a lot of fun. That'll be tomorrow night. Same goes for Cinta Negra and SBL. Coming up after this is going to be Wanted Goons and Coastal Gaming. But I was just kind of mentioning all that to set you guys up with the whole bracket and the stakes at hand. And also because we had an interview and I was waiting for that to be ready. But it's ready now. So we can hop right into that. After a big win for Arial Arise, it'll be Packer on board with us tonight. So Packer, just first thoughts after that big win. How do you guys feel getting into the prize pool of the Spring Burst, just having shown up and decided to play together?
I'm excited. I haven't been playing comp for a little bit. After Wildcard, we took a little break, and I'm just here to run the streets of T3 and T2 again. Like I've always done. So I'm excited. First job done is defeating JJ in an easy manner.
Well, it's a rite of passage to own T3. You gotta beat JJ in something at some point. But yeah, you would know that pretty well. But yeah, so first off, what brought this kind of team together? Obviously, I know you announced on Twitter today that you're going to be playing with different people for the future, in terms of like major quals and all that. What got you guys all together to just show up and play for playoffs today?
Before I was trialing with the pro roster, I was on Arial, so I signed up for this, and then I left to do that pro trials, and then I decided to not play Pro League this past stage for this next stage coming up. So they hit me up again and like, hey, do you want to play these games with us? So I played in the games, but then after that I will be playing with people that I already had prior plans to.
All right, yeah, that sounds good. So obviously trying to make a big lasting impression on Xenon and on this team before you switch things up. I'll probably ask more about the Arial Arise roster later, but for now, just to ask about the game itself. Did you guys have any actual plans as to what you were going to do? Did you try and play for fun, just get really aggressive, or were you guys trying to lock in and show everybody that you can still absolutely compete with these T3, T2 teams?
We knew we were going to win the game before it even started, because we're just way better than them. We were just playing to have fun, and just try our best. But I mean, we weren't really stressing anything. We were just having fun, just laughing, just trolling. It wasn't that deep.
All right, yeah, it sounds good. Sounds good. And obviously, for your next game, you guys are going to play the winner of the Exosiris roster versus Space Station Academy. Do you have any thoughts about either of those two teams, what with their new looks that they're coming into this tournament with, and who you maybe, if you want to play against anybody in particular?
I have no preference. I mean, either team will be pretty similar. I don't really expect either game to be super hard. I'm just going into I just want to win. I'm showing up to win and get out. I mean, these teams shouldn't be up to our caliber at all.
All right, I love the confidence. I don't know. Just gonna ask this on a whim, just because I'm curious. I don't know if you actually have an answer to this or not, but do you know what's gonna become of like Aerial Arise as a team now that we've seen a lot of like changes happen? Are you familiar at all with like what the guys who are still technically on that team want to do with it going forward, or does this feel like it's kind of a last hurrah for right now, and then they'll figure everything else out later?
I think for right now, this is just what we're gonna like. They're just trying to play, and then after like everything settles, they'll decide. I mean, major quals are right around the corner. I'm assuming all teams will like fully kind of submit their rosters within the next probably few days, and then everyone will just decide to go their ways or stay together depending on what happens. You know, you gotta wait to see what offers you get and who you can play with.
Yeah, so hoping for the best for you and everybody on that Aerial Arise roster in terms of getting the best offers possible. Congratulations on a big win today, and just making sure that those offers are as good as they possibly can be with how good y'all looked on that last map and how good I'm sure that you'll look moving into the semifinals. Before we let you go, though, anything you want to say? Just final messages, shout-outs, anything of that note?
Thank you to all the people that hate on me, because I will be back better than ever. And thank you to everyone that has always supported me and appreciates me. And I will continue to grind for you guys and improve.
I'd love to hear that. Thank you so much for joining us, Packer. Congrats again on a big win, and we'll see you in the semifinals.
No problem. Have a good one.
You too. All right, and with that, Aerial Arise advanced to the semifinals. You heard Packer say it. Everyone here just trying to make them a lasting impact on what could be their final time through with this iteration of the Aerial Arise roster. Try and show off to some very good players and just generally make themselves appealing before, of course, the whole major quals process. And honestly, I like the mindset he was talking about, right? Come into today confident, trying to prove to everybody that you're just in a different echelon compared to all these teams, and that you should be looked at for some Pro League offers and some high T2 offers, and orgs should be interested in what you've got going on. Love that mindset, and clearly it showed today in how quickly they dispatched a Valkyrie.
And Packer was underplaying it just a little bit, but his next matchup, whichever team it ends up coming through the bracket, is going to be a little bit more difficult. SSG Academy, just with name brand value, is a very good team, and with the players that they have on here, JetCon, Aimkey, Trevmac not anymore, unfortunately, but Focal and Godville still on the team. That's a heck of a game. And Exosiris as well. Brio's just previously on that Aerial Arise roster, so that next game is going to be very close. That's not what's going to happen next, though. Is we are going to leave you with it's going to be Sirius and Time to Light, I believe, casting our very next game just shortly. So stay tuned, stick around after this break for another fantastic matchup out of our quarterfinals for XGS Spring Burst.